Cutting costs on food is extremely hard to do right now.
More money, less product, but all of our costs are higher.
Eric Tipkin is the general manager of Halperns in Central Florida. He's been in the food industry over a quarter of a century.
This is from Spain.
Costs in this industry are at an all-time high.
We're hoping that between 6 to 8 months, we would see some normalcy come back to the market. We said the same thing 6 to 8 months ago, though.
Grocery and restaurant bills are up. The reason is all the costs consumers don't see on a menu. According to Tipkin, shipping costs to receive the food is up 20%.
Transportation equates for probably about 15% of our cost overall.
But also, price of products on average up 15%. Packaging materials for the food up 40%.
When you look, we use plenty of boxes here. We probably go through about 2,200 boxes a day.
Plastic material to put the products on up 30%. And wages also up about 10 to 15%. All costs up since the beginning of the pandemic.
It's kind of like a perfect storm with no predictability in the future.
And it doesn't matter if it's an import.
So these are fresh hearts of palm from Costa Rica that we bring in.
Something domestic like mushrooms.
There's been no shortage of them, but the trucking is the challenge still to get them over to here.
From underwater.
But right now, it's just demand. Your lobster volume keeps going. People, for whatever reason, are buying a lot more lobsters.
Or above ground.
But there's not enough employees in the packing houses to actually fill the orders. So you've seen a complete slowdown in the beef market.
It all adds up and sums up why food costs are up. And unfortunately, with all these issues, these prices for now are the new normal.
When the consumer is used to paying it, it kind of is hard for the producer to go but down.
Inflation is driving up the cost of food across the nation, causing local grocers like Perrines here in Port Orange to have to up their prices. It's something customers are noticing.
I need 3 more.
Cindy Richardson is busy shopping for steaks.
The grandkids love them.
But at $7.99, they're more expensive than usual.
I've seen it higher, actually. So this is good.
It's something she and her husband Jim are noticing more often on their grocery runs. Since they've been on a fixed income for the last 4 years since they retired, it's becoming harder to fill up their carts, causing them to cut back elsewhere.
We're not traveling. I have a Volkswagen, so we hardly have any gas. We're not able to go to church, so we are not buying clothes, just groceries. And we're not going to do much for the holidays.
It's just as frustrating for Trey Renfro, one of the owners of Perrines. He says in 20 years, they've never faced inflation and supply chain issues as bad as this.
These 32-ounce cups that we put cut fruit, cut watermelon, they have nearly tripled in price. Transportation to get the watermelon here has went up. The packaging has went up. The labor to pick and pack and ship that watermelons went up. So that's a real good example of why the prices are going up.
Renfro says it's hurting his business because while he's having to charge more, he's actually making less on some of his best-selling items like filet mignon.
So they were $5.99 everyday price. Today they're $7.99 everyday priced, but we're making less margin and selling less units because of it.
Over at the checkout line, Richardson says this haul would usually cost about $90, but today she thinks it'll be a little over $100. But with every item, the total grows.
With the meat I bought, I bet I'll be over what I expected.
It comes out to $124, about $30 more than what she's used to. While Richardson hopes to see prices go down soon,
I'm realistic that I'm not sure they're going to.
the owners here at Perrines tell me this has actually hurt them so much it's keeping them from expanding into Edgewater. While they already have a lease on the space, they just can't afford to move in right now, and it's costing them more money every day. Reporting on scene in Port Orange, Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News 13.
The most favorite part for me is when people come in and just talking to them about it.
Steve Roush and his brother Mike own the Colonial Photo and Hobby Store in downtown Orlando.
We do everything here.
Yeah. When it comes to train sets, the problem isn't keeping products on the shelves, it's getting them on the shelves.
Normally I would have that full down below too with a variety of different ones. So it's just lacking this time of the year this year.
Bill Thayer is the CEO of a logistic providing company, Fabj. He spent over 30 years in retail logistics for different major retail companies. He says boats waiting to dock and the country's truck driving shortage are only parts of the supply chain problem.
It's a capacity issue. You think about right now just industrial warehouse space. Currently right now you're going to need anywhere from 1 billion to 1.5 billion square feet of additional warehouse square footage just to meet up with demand in the next 3 years.
Mike Roush
My back orders are
is having similar problems with cameras.
3-4 times what they used to be.
This year, he admits used camera gear will outsell new.
Used is very much driving the market in camera gear right now. Mostly because of the savings between the new item and the used item. And if you can't get the new one, a lot of people go to the used.
For seasonal products like electronics and toys, which primarily come from the Pacific Rim, delays on arrivals to U.S. stores have now gone from weeks to months.
We talked with a customer today that has containers that are sitting in the port of LA that are over 100 days old.
The Roush brothers also have items in those containers. They also know some of what's in them won't make it to their store in time for Christmas.
We already ordered what we thought we needed. Okay, so there's no ordering more because they're not going to ship everything you asked for.
For farmer Tom Utzman, these are the sounds of Christmas.
This is probably one of my favorite times of the year.
It's also his busiest. All winter long, Utzman runs Santa's Christmas Tree Forest with a legion of elf helpers.
Everybody's like, you can be the elf in charge. So that's what I am. I'm the elf in charge.
But combing through his prices, this year things are a little different.
12-foot Fraser this year from Michigan is more expensive than one from North Carolina. So a lot of it has to do with availability. What farmer has what that year?
Due to short supply and the American Trucking Association predicting a truck driver shortage of over 80,000 drivers, these classic trees are harder to come by.
They just don't have them. It's supply and demand. 8 to 9 is always the size everyone wants.
But there are other options.
This is the year to switch, try something new.
It's an opportunity for Utzman, who grows sand pines, also known as Florida Christmas trees.
There's 17,000 trees to choose from. You should be able to find one.
He thinks it's a cheaper and more fun alternative to shelling out for a traditional tree.
You get to do it yourself. You get to experience it. I don't know anywhere else. You get to go walk around a field of 17 acres and, pick out a tree, cut it down yourself, lug it home.
Oh, look at that one. That's exactly what Trinity Bryant and her family are here to do. While they often go with artificial trees, they're on the hunt for a homegrown alternative. Making some new holiday memories, all while finding their perfect tree.
Yeah, it's a good pick because I can actually carry it.
It's these moments that make the holiday season bright for Utzman, confident that the desire for something different will help carry them through.
Knowing that we're able to open, we're able to do all this in spite of the challenges, it's very gratifying.
In Eustis, Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News 13.
It's one of the most beautiful bars.
2021 has nearly been as bad as 2020 for Seasons Florida Resort hotel owner Peter Sharma.
You're not even believe what I'm going to show you.
Out in Kissimmee, Peter Sharma does it all at his hotel right now. Problem is, due to supply chain issues, he's a bit limited with what he can do.
Restaurant Depot, if you go there, half the things are not available. We go to Sam's Club, a lot of the stuff is not available.
Even on his kitchen shelves, not much is available. Over 75% of hotels surveyed by the American Hotel and Lodging Association say they have had supply chain disruptions with food and beverage products, even for linens.
You can't buy anything. It's very, very tough.
He's experiencing some wrinkles.
Look how little stuff you've got. Look how little stuff you've got.
Peter is having a tough time finding a complete sheet set from the same brand in the same pattern.
I have to, it's the same thing in every room. I can't just pick up something from Walmart just to cover the thing. We're trying to run a hotel. You have to have this stuff whether you like it or not.
When the pandemic began, the Seasons Florida Resort was forced to close for 13 months. Before COVID, Peter's hotel would do about $2 million a year in business. Now, he's barely making $50,000 a month, hardly cleaning up.
Sweet, I can't buy it.
Not only do 72% of hotels say they have a tough time finding cleaning supplies, but 79% say the costs have gone up.
It's very frustrating. I mean, my wife says, let's go back to Australia. I'm 63. I think it would break my heart if I have to do that.
Sharma is hoping businesses and costs will go back to normal. His hotel parking lot, near empty just miles from major attractions, is not.